Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at Morphy's taking a look at a Miller cartridge conversion. This is one of many conversions that were developed in the years after the US Civil War to take advantage of the significant number of now basically obsolete percussion-fired rifled muskets that had been manufactured for that conflict. In the years during the Civil War, rimfire cartridge technology was really in the process of maturing. By the time the Civil War was over, it was pretty clear that self-contained cartridges, metallic cartridges, were the way of the future. So there are plenty of inventors who had various ideas for how to take cheap, obsolete guns and convert them to use new, modern ammunition. Now, two of these guys were the Miller brothers, George and William Miller of Meriden, Connecticut, and they came up with this system to convert muskets to the .58 caliber rimfire cartridge. Let's go ahead and take a look at how that system works. What the Miller brothers did was essentially chop the back end off of a percussion musket, add on this breech loading breech block assembly. Miller's conversion was theoretically suitable to basically any muzzle-loading percussion-fired musket, but the guns that were actually converted were predominantly Parker and Snow and Company, model of 1861 .58 caliber muskets from the U.S. military. This one is a lock plate date of 1864 when it was originally produced. Of course, you can see the U.S. Eagle there. So this would have been a surcharged, surplused musket after the end of the war. That's what made it available for the Miller brothers to send out for their conversion process. If we take a look at the top of the breech block, we'll see W.H. and G.W. Miller, their patent date, and Meridan Manufacturing Company of Meriden, Connecticut. The brothers lived there. They found a local company to do this conversion work. So how does it actually work? Well, we have the original hammer in place, put that at half cock. You can then lift up this new breech block very easily. You'll notice right here we have a little arm that's going to snap out a self-retracting extractor. So that's going to pull the empty case right there out. Then you can dump it out. You can see they cut a channel in the wood so that you can slide a cartridge down into the new breech right there. What actually locks this in place so that it doesn't blow open when firing is this lug right here. It's actually the combination of both of these, and they lock into that square hole in the bottom. So in order to close it, you'll see that this rear piece has to lift up a bit, and then it drops in place, and force pushing back here can't open up the breech block. The only way it can be opened is if you apply a force perpendicular to what the cartridge is going to do. You lift up this section, and that allows the whole thing to open. So really a very quite simple system. The original hammer is used for firing. There's a firing pin right there that protrudes into the breech face. That'll hit the rim of the cartridge, and that protrudes up here on the top of the breech block where it is hit by the hammer. So it doesn't come up very far. There we go. That's about as much travel as we're going to get on it. Right there. But once you have a cartridge in the chamber, the cartridge itself is going to push the firing pin out and then pull the hammer back to full cock. And when you fire, it's going to snap that firing pin down and fire the cartridge. And that's really all there is to it. They didn't make any modification to the rest of the gun. It's still a very long musket, just with this conversion to the breech assembly. To my mind, this is one of the really interesting periods in firearms development, the transition from muzzle loading to breech loading and the vast number of different conversions that people came up with to try and figure out how to take old guns and make them more useful. Now, a grand total of 2,000 of these Miller conversions were made between 1865 and 1867. They were done by the Meridan Manufacturing Company. So the Miller brothers lived in Meriden. The original guns that they were using to convert had been made mostly in Meriden. They were converted in Meriden. This is all a very convenient local thing. We don't know for sure what happened to most of these guns. In 1867, the US military did test them. They ran 1,000 rounds through one of them and came back with results that were kind of, not great, not terrible. Over the course of that testing, The gun exhibited some gas leakage problems, and it had about a 3% rate of misfires. So every 100 rounds they fired, they would typically get about 3 malfunctions, which is not great. Certainly it's not good enough to warrant general military adoption. After that test, the US military had no further particular interest in the gun. We do know that both the Maryland and New York state militias bought at least small numbers of these. As for the rest of them, they were probably eventually sold at discount on the civilian market. There's always someone who's going to be interested in something like this if it's cheap enough. So it's kind of cool taking a look at all these different cartridge conversions. This isn't a particularly successful one, but that doesn't necessarily make it any less interesting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.